If you're watching this video right now, you probably experienced a recent burst in motivation. Maybe earlier this week or earlier this month and you didn't capitalize on it. Or heck, maybe you made a bunch of goals for this year and you just realized that it's almost the end of the year and you haven't achieved any of them. Well, I've been in this situation time and time again, and I've also experienced that horrible feeling of dread you get when you realize that if you just stayed motivated and productive the entire time, you'd probably be so much farther ahead now than you actually are. In this video, we'll talk about 3 things you're probably doing or not doing that are causing you to lose motivation. If you watch this video and self-analyze your actions, I promise you'll be able to get out of that cycle that's causing you to have these bursts of motivation that then fade really quickly. But before we get into it, I just want to say that this video isn't about how to get motivated. This video is about how to ride that initial wave of motivation as long as possible. So reason number 1 for your fading motivation is that you're probably setting way too many goals for yourself and you're becoming overwhelmed. If you're like me, when you get motivated, you get really excited. And instead of picking that one thing to work on, you want to work on everything that excites you. This is a big no-no for multiple reasons. Firstly, having too many goals can be overwhelming and result in a lot of context switching. Context switching is not a good thing. As a software developer, I know this very well. Each time you switch context, there's this ramp-up period you have to go through to figure out where you left off. This ramp-up period can cause confusion, make you lose focus, and ultimately kill your motivation. Context switching can also result in you not being fully invested in the task at hand because your mind keeps wandering to other things. Another reason why setting too many goals can kill your motivation is because you're putting yourself in a cognitive impairment called overchoice, otherwise known as choice overload. There have been many studies and articles written about choice overload and how people have a difficult time making a decision when faced with many options. Having too many options isn't always a bad thing, but when you aren't staying organized, this can lead to you not being able to decide what to work on, and in the worst case, you end up not doing anything. And I don't know anything worse for my motivation than not getting anything done. Take a page out of Forrest Gump's book. Yes, I know he's a fictional character, but in the movie he was always a simple man who focused on one thing at a time. But he put all his focus on that one thing, which always resulted in him being amazing at that one thing. Okay, so maybe you have a lot of goals you want to achieve and you're not willing to shunt on any of them. Well, this brings us to reason number 2 why you're losing your motivation. But before we get into that, I just want to ask all of you to subscribe and leave a like if you like this video. I really like making videos that inform, motivate, and make people more productive. So there's going to be a ton more videos like this coming out. So if you want to stay up to date and get notified when I release new videos, make sure to subscribe. Okay, moving on. So reason number 2 is that you're not clearly defining your goals. If you're keeping your goals in your head and you're not writing them down somewhere, then you're not planning them out properly and they're not being committed to. There is no better way to halt progress, which in turn kills motivation, than to not have a plan.
I had a goddamn plan!
And I'm not talking about writing down every single detail of what you plan to work on, because that can cause issues on its own, which we'll talk about in a future video. But at least try to write down 1 or 2 things you plan to achieve each day, and maybe a sentence or 2 of what a successful day will look like for you. I used to do this in a bullet journal, but recently I switched to using a note-taking app. But it doesn't really matter how you do it, just make sure to write down your goals. Also remember that however long you think something's going to take you is probably going to take you much longer, so try to account for that. And the last big reason you aren't staying motivated, and this is my favorite because I used to be extremely guilty of it, is that you're going around telling everybody about your goals. This is bad for 2 reasons. When you go and tell people about your goals, they're going to react in one of 3 different ways. They're either going to not care, they're going to say that your goals or your ideas suck, or they're gonna love your ideas. If the person doesn't care or they tell you that your ideas suck, it's like a slap in the face of your motivation and your self-judgment. So basically, don't listen to haters and try not to doubt yourself. This doesn't mean you shouldn't tell anybody about your plans. Make sure you tell people you trust, and only if you are both affected or if you really value the other person's opinion and want to get their advice. Another reason why you shouldn't go around telling people about your plans is that they might like your plans. And yes, this will be very exciting. Except nobody ever likes my plans. And when people agree with you, you get a dopamine rush, which can oftentimes be very satisfying. That satisfaction might be enough to scratch that itch to want to work on something and get stuff finished. A common theory why telling people about your goals can actually cause you to become less motivated to work hard to achieve them is one proposed by Peter Gollwitzer and his colleagues. To summarize the theory, a lot of goals people set for themselves revolve around wanting to have a certain identity. These are called identity goals. For example, if someone wants to be an entrepreneur, they must start a company. But going around telling everybody that you're going to start a company and want to be an entrepreneur gets people thinking that you have that identity already. This premature sense of already attaining that identity can cause you to not want to work as hard on achieving your goals because you feel like you're already there. I'll include a link to the study down below. It's a really interesting read, so I definitely recommend checking it out. So those are the 3 reasons why you're not staying motivated. To summarize, if you want to stay motivated longer, make sure to stop setting too many goals for yourself. Start writing down what goals you want to achieve and a rough plan on how you will achieve them, and stop going around telling everyone about your goals. So thanks for watching my video. This is definitely a different video from my previous one, but it's a topic that I'm extremely interested in. I'll be making more videos like this in the future, so make sure to subscribe and leave a like if you enjoyed it. Also, make sure to let me know other ways that you guys stay motivated in the comments. I'd be really interested in reading them. So until next time, stay motivated.